The question is South Africa ready? And that's how it's going to happen. And then South Africa's going to be like, oh my God, let's get hold of this thing. And then it's going to explode. It's just a normal story, and then suddenly there's a dragon. You don't see anyone go, a dragon! Aye! How is this possible? I think the problem with South African characters, sometimes you don't feel for them. If you continue to sending invoices, you'll never, ever, ever be a multimillionaire. Or you'll never, ever be rich.
Welcome to Zarnia for Games and Geekery, and I'm here with Siv Ngesi. Siv, actor, producer, you have a lot of hats, and you just told me that you've kind of taken off the hat of being a comedian to focus more on acting and producing.
I'll correct you. I'm an award-winning actor, comedian, TV presenter.
You got me.
Award-winning. Some people like say if I was a doctor, you wouldn't call me a mister. You'd call me an award winner. You know what I mean? But you know, we're not counting the awards. We've stopped. For me, I'm a entertainer-preneur. I will do what I have to do. If someone asks me something, if I enjoy it, I'll try my hand at it. If someone wants to do comedy and I enjoy the space that I'm in, I've gotten to the point now that I'm willing to say no. It's the most powerful word in the industry, and I think a lot of people in the industry don't realize how important no is. And I just want to create content as much as possible and invoice myself.
Is it the joy of working with interesting people and ideas, or is it? Are you looking for challenges?
I think for me, I've always treated the industry like sport. And every single day I need to be better than I was the day before. And if I'm not better, then I need to go back and see where I wasn't better continuously. And that's how it is. I'm always competing with myself. I don't compete with other people. And I love meeting crazy, interesting people, and I really want to be able to be in environments that, like I did an Afrikaans film this year, you know what I mean? And I've always wanted to be in Afrikaans, and I want to be able to challenge myself continuously and meet crazy people.
Okay, so one of the things we brought you here to talk about is Blood Psalms. Can you tell us a little bit more about what Blood Psalms about? You know,
Blood Psalms is just this brainchild of Jahmil Qubeka, who's actually... Currently, a lot of South Africans don't realize it, but the entire world is going crazy about him. We're at the Toronto Film Festival, and people are pulling him from all directions. It's literally I think the problem with a lot of South African stories, a lot of the times they're being told by people whose stories they're not to be told. You know what I mean? Like, and I know a fantasy you would think, no one is telling it. But I think for me about Blood Psalms is that it's in vernacular languages. It's in black South African languages, so the performances have already jumped off the screen. They've already spent a lot of money on creating these unbelievable sets. The costumes are unbelievable. For me, I'm on the makeup chair for at least 3 hours, putting on my makeup. It's about different tribes, and the only way I can actually explain it is like you know Game of Thrones? And I know people have been mentioning Game of Thrones, but in Game of Thrones, you have many different stories happening at the same time. But there's some similarity, and they come together at the end, kind of a thing. So there's a lot of tribes, there's like a tribe that's like a hyena-like, dog-like tribe. So makeup is all specific. They have like sniffing. I'm this guy called Uyo who just has incredible strength. He's in this. Most of my scenes are in this gigantic mud-filled pit, shooting 12, 13 hours in the middle of the night in Joburg cold in this mud pit. So it's really challenging. And man, it's going to blow the world. And you know, I'm going to say it. I think it's going to be one of those TV shows that South Africa is going to sleep on. You know, it's going to be seen by a very small South African population because it's going to be in Showmax or Mnet. You know what I mean? In a very small group. But overseas, everyone's going to talk about it. You know what I mean? You know, and that's how it's going to happen. And then South Africa's going to be like, oh my God, let's get hold of this thing. And then it's going to explode.
Yeah, I sometimes find that South Africans do have an interesting relationship with the work that we produce. Yeah. Is we constantly going, we need more local content, but we don't nurture the content that is made here.
But South Africans do have an interesting relationship. If they would support us more, we'd be able to make the mistakes, you know, and get the money to be able to make the better ones. And I think that's where, you know, it's at. You know, for me, Blood Psalms, for me, the question is South Africa ready? But they were ready for Game of Thrones. And Game of Thrones, one moment, it's just a normal story, and then suddenly there's a dragon. You don't see anyone go, a dragon! Aye! How is this possible? Dragon! But with South Africans, you're going to see it's going to get a bit crazy, and they're going to be like, that's fake. How is that possible? Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's an interesting kind of a thing, and I really, really, I canceled a lot of work to be able to appear on Blood Psalms, and my part's actually not the biggest, but it gets huge in season 2 because I believe in it, and I believe in Jahmil, and I believe in Layla, and they're personal friends.
Are you a big fantasy fan yourself?
Yeah, for me, I don't do Star Wars, I don't do Star Trek, but I need a storyline. I need layers. I need to be multi-layered. The characters need to be multi-layered, well written, and I really need to see arcs. If I don't see any of that, then I can't. Like I watched The Way. Have you watched The Way?
No.
It's about Hilary Swank, about them going to Mars. It is, yeah. Even though you see them flying around every once in a while and things are exploding, shit is real, but they literally fly. It's about them going to Mars. They're literally floating everyone, but it's grounded. And I think sometimes you watch content and they literally are floating up in the air. You can't believe it. But the shit needs to be grounded. The performances are real. It's well written. There's arcs, and you feel for these guys. I think the problem with South African characters, sometimes you don't feel for them. And it's difficult to create stories and then someone like for example in American, sometimes I watch so much American content. At the moment I'm watching Dogs of Berlin. It's a German film. Well written, unbelievable German TV series. But sometimes in American films you'll notice if someone's about to die, you see how they flesh out their character. So you feel for them. And I think in South Africa, they don't have enough budget. There's 4 or 5 drafts too short. You know what I mean? And by the time someone dies, like, okay, Jahmil is dead. Okay, sharp. Who's next? But Americans have a way of really, really, really fleshing out the characters and making sure that these people are like well-rounded individuals. And last thing on the topic, for example, for me, when I watch South African TV sometimes, as much as there's great quality, but sometimes for me, you forget that when you did stage, a lot of stage, you know what I mean? When you're in theater, you can go, that tree is fake. But your imagination knows that it's tree, so because we're in theater, so we don't have to be able to go, that tree's fake, fuck, I can't watch this anymore. But when you watch film or TV, as soon as there's a fake moment, that's fake you're out. You're gonna pull out immediately. And I think sometimes South Africans is gonna spend more time, maybe a few 5 more, 6 more drafts. Sometimes don't spend the money correctly,
Yeah, it's about creating like the proper real emotions so that you can,
escape.
Be happy with the dragon.
Yes, yeah.
The dragon's fine as long as I understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Intent. Yeah. It's also interesting to just go back to Game of Thrones, how sometimes a certain cultural artifact will become the lens through which we see it. Everything is now described as like, it's the Game of Thrones, but with superheroes. It's the Game of Thrones, but this. There are like a number of things, like Lord of the Rings is one of them.
Yeah, Matrix.
Yeah, the Matrix, that's the lens through which we understand, or Groundhog Day even. We're like, it's Groundhog Day with aliens. So it's interesting, like, we've got this African fantasy story. It's still, like, we still have to speak the language of the frame.
Yeah.
When are we going to start building our own frame?
That's a great point. I was about to work with Jenna Bass.
Jenna Bass.
Jenna Bass. Really was looking forward to her. She really has this new thing that she's doing. She's starting to create this like universal but South African kind of a feel. She has something very, very special that I feel has legs, and that's what people internationally already recognize. So I'm very sad that I didn't get to work with her because I think there's a part of me that just wants to be recognized for being talented, I think at the moment now people recognize me for being controversial, for being loud and being opinionated. But actually I just want to be known for being talented, And she's like, I feel like she would have been a great stamp. And that's another ego-based thing from my part.
Wanting to work with like people who bring out the best in you,
who
are
agreed.
also top of their game.
Yeah, and I feel like Jenna has this way of, even when I was auditioning, she made me just do a monologue but made up on the spot, And I feel like she is on something. I feel like Jahmil and them are on something. They haven't, I think we need to be able to experiment. We need to be able to not fear making money back. You know what I mean? Sometimes people make films and films are cock. Do you know what I mean?
Space to fail.
Yeah, space to fail. But we don't mind putting money towards rugby players and them failing. Anyway, they put money towards players and they get injured and they can't play ever again. And we're like, cool, it happens. You know what I mean? But then when you have a film, it needs to make money. It needs to be, but you know. But another thing, the people who are funding the films can't be politically driven. But I agree. I think we are starting, but I think people need to be given a chance.
And also a chance to work not focused on what the market wants or what people think the market wants, and to be able to define the market itself. Like you're saying, it's going to be in African language, it's going to be in South African languages, in vernacular. You're giving people their own what they recognize. You know, rather than like catering to let's do it all in American.
Yeah. But, you know, I want to get to the point where we can just create incredible content. Like, I think for me, and I'm going to say this, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me, argue with me, or say that's insensitive. But COVID exposed our industry badly. If you were in it three weeks into COVID lockdown and you had no money to pay for rent, you were in trouble before COVID. If you're an artist and you're struggling to eat 3 weeks into COVID, you were fucked already. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And that's harsh to say, but that's an interesting thing. It shows us that, first of all, I think a lot of our artists are living beyond their means. I think a lot of them are not saving. And I think a lot of them, you know, we have to be able to create an artist that can make people sustainable artists. South Africa in general, even out of the entertainment industry, so they say South Africans are 58 days away from being on the street. If you lost your job today, 58 days time, you'll be on the street if no one else helps you. And that's so our industry, COVID exposed our industry. Now, if you're watching this, don't call me insensitive, because it's the truth. But now I'm not saying if 6 months in, I understand that. I'm going, okay, well, 6 months, that's heck. But there were artists complaining 3 weeks in. So it exposed a lot of people. I think it exposed our industry entirely. And you got to realize sometimes, for me, like, I messaged my agent and I said, give me 10 artists who are in trouble, like bad trouble, right? To be able to help give back. But what I realized is that I was giving these people money, but I wasn't ever teaching them how to fish.
It's that transfer of skills, of financial abilities.
So it's about be able to help people create their own content, to be able, because the thing is, you will never be a millionaire, you'll never be rich, you'll never be truthfully rich if you are sending invoices. Like, if you continue to sending invoices, you'll never, ever, ever be a multimillionaire, or you'll never, ever be rich. And that's what I've realized over the last years. Because for me to make money, I need to be there. Like, I've had to change the times with you continuously because I need to be somewhere else. Now, having to be somewhere else means you have to be there. And I don't have a passive income. No passive income, that means I will never, ever get to the point of me living comfortably to be able to retire on, because I need to be there.
So what's the lesson?
The lesson is, that I told you earlier, I'm an entertainer-preneur. I'm an entrepreneur who is an entertainer. So continuously, I think we need to be able to take our monies and put it in other facets and different other places, right? And be able to have passive income as well, right? And you're able to create content as well, which I think creating content is quite important, because for me, lockdown, all I did was create content from home. Sometimes I'll create content not wearing flipping underpants and just wearing the top off, you know what I mean? But I think we have to be able to teach people how to create content. We got to work together. It's quite important that we work together to be able to create things and put avenues together to be able to make. And I think we can't live on invoicing. I'm doing a job with Francis Shooter, right? Blew my mind. Spreadsheets. He's trying to teach me what to do with my money, and my mind is blown, man. Like, and now he's teaching me what I must do with my money and where I must put it. And I felt ashamed because I'm so bad. For my standards, I'm bad with money because I didn't come from money. Francis is so... Now, I would love for Francis to give classes. Give classes to artists. Teach them this. Because Francis is like, no, you need 30,000, put it that side. 10% that side. And now my mind is blown. Yeah. And he's sharing that knowledge. And he's sharing willfully. He does it willfully. And that's what I want people to do. And that's what I want to do. Like, if you're watching this and you want to ask me how I do it, bro, drop me a DM. And I'll meet with you. I'll tell you what I do, but I'm learning from people on the side as well.
Yeah, I recently read a book called How to Handle Your Money Like a Fucking Grown-Up.
Yeah, oh goodness.
And I was just like, I am ashamed. I really am not a fucking grown-up.
Me too. Do you know, sitting here with I don't have health insurance, sitting right here. And I say all that, I'm ashamed. Like, I don't have health insurance. I ride a motorbike. You know what I mean? If I broke my collarbone, I'm stuffed. You know what I mean? And Francis was teaching me these little things, and it's about sharing that knowledge. He was so willfully sharing that knowledge. So for me, that's what I want to do, is to be able. I think we need to be able to work together, and I think COVID really exposed us, man. This industry's been in trouble for a while. It's not act like.
And that goes back to your thing that we don't have a space to fail.
Yeah.
We don't have the space to financially fail. We can't put out a dud film because we're not going to eat.
No, you won't.
Yeah. So you got to play it safe constantly, or just play in the shallow end of the pool. Cool, Siv. So how did you prepare for the role? Do you have any tips for anyone else who wants to be better at performing and taking on roles?
I've never studied, so I don't really have a method, but I need to physically feel like the person, first of all. So I go to gym and I put on as much muscle as possible. I change the way I eat, and I read the script. Now, I'm terrible because I do one thing that you should do. I do one thing that you actually should do that I don't do. I don't read the entire script. I don't. I believe I only read what my character is involved in, or when they talk about my character, because I don't believe that this guy would know what everyone else is saying. It doesn't get something to do with me, because I'm in here. I'm in my world. So if someone's talking about me in Newlands, I don't fucking know that they're talking about me. That's my thing, and it's been working with me.
What your character knows.
Yeah, what my character knows is what I know, because I don't need to know what other people are saying about my character, because that's none of my fucking business. So I do a lot of work on that. I talk to the director. I love a full brief, right? And then I do something that I've been learning a lot of from. I do master classes online. I create an entire backing story that no one else knows of. No one else knows of. I can tell you what chips he likes. I can tell you what cool drink he likes. I can tell you what turns him on. I can tell you this entire backing story, and I can justify everything that I do to the backing story that I've created. Then the director comes in and he's like, no, he says, then we can change it. But it's all for me, it's for no one else. And I create that world, right? But the interesting thing about performance or anything to do with the art is about truth, right? And everything is going to be as truthful as possible. And I just try make everything that I do as truthful as possible. And because I'm a reasonably big black man with big features, I try to take everything to vulnerability. And there's a strength in vulnerability that people don't realize. And I think a lot of men in society in general need to understand that there is power in vulnerability. And I try and take all my characters to vulnerable because I find it easy to take it there. Because I'm loud, I don't know. But I try to take everything down and take it to vulnerable. And there's a strength in vulnerability. So when you take him there, like for example, I'm busy shooting a TV series now, another one, and I'm playing a bad guy. And the first two scenes, my director made me go quite big, right? And I did it. I went small, but I went big. But the next scenes, I'm going to tell them, no, I'm not willing to go there. I'm only willing to come here, right? So we can balance it. And I try to keep everything truthful and balanced as possible and be able to find that conflict. And I think every great character has conflict. And I always try to find that conflict. And if the director doesn't help me with it, I create my own conflict.
It's that detail, like the nuance. Because everyone is complicated.
Yeah.
And complexity is things that don't necessarily seem to go together at first.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So then I do that. I work a lot. And I try to watch stuff that are good examples. And I try to steal from many different characters. So I steal a lot. So I come to play and I steal and I just take and I combine it to make one person.
Siv, what do you see in terms of like the fantasy geek side of South Africa? What's that scene like, do you think?
I have some geek friends, and I find it quite interesting that I have friends, like for example, I love musicals. So I have like very geeky friends in the musical scene, and I find them quite amazing how they see things. My very good friend, who's like a brother of mine, is a big geek. And when I'm in his world, it's amazing how Greeks have created their own world, their own environment that they're quite content in, Because cool kids think geeks just want to come into their world, but actually geeks are pretty content with their entire world. Like geeks fuck each other too, you know what I mean? To make more geeks. So I'm amazing. That's what happens. Geeks is, not a geek.
That's where little geeks come.
Yeah, the geeks. Like the gingers. But one thing that I love about geeks these days is that geeks are pretty content in being geeks, because there's geeks now that have been famous and they've been sex symbols. There's something called representation, and it's so important. Like for example, I ride motorbikes. When a little 3-year-old walks past me, or 4 or 5-year-old, and sees a black guy on a motorbike, he looks up and he's like, you know what I mean? When I grew up, there were no black guys on motorbikes. Not at all. Never.
So people are going to watch Blood Psalms and they're going to... The
Yes.
whole concept of what...
Like Black Panther. It's about representation. It's important. And now I'm wearing an African shirt on Heritage Day and I'm riding on a motorbike. And I can see people are like, that's weird. Okay, cool, move on. You know? This representation is very important.
And the contrasts and the nuances that make up like personalities and details. Yeah. Final question. Have you played Dungeons and Dragons?
I've never played it, but I'm willing to try anything, man. I'm willing to try anything and meet new people. But at high school, I was always the first team rugby captain, the first team water polo captain, the drama king. So I was and then I had nerdy friends. So I tried to simulate in different worlds.
Again, that contrast between the jock and the drama llama.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of anything and anything. I'll try anything. But yeah, but a lot of, I swear you say that, but a lot of nerds geeks don't really invite you into their own world. You would think, they're trying to get people. No, they're pretty chilled in their own world.
Okay, well, I'll be sure to invite you to our to play D&D with us sometimes.
Yeah. Sounds like
great.
a porn film, D&D.
Yeah, come up.
Come play some
Come
D&D.
to our dungeon.
Come to our dungeon, play
a lot of
D&D.
fun in there. All right, this has been Zarnia, and this has been a great chat with Siv Ngesi. And awesome, and bye.